Hello, Erin here. As paper crafters, we love paper, right? We're just drawn to all the beautiful colors. It even smells good. If you know, you know. Sometimes we have a piece of paper that is so pretty we don't want to cover it up. Has that ever happened to you? Well, in today's video, I have a double page scrapbook layout for you, and I'm going to show you a way that you can still add all of the beautiful, fun detailing and embellishment and layers to your scrapbook layout without totally covering up that beautiful paper. This is the Everyday You and Me Scrapbooking Workshop from Stampin' Up! And you can see there are 3 double-page pre-designed layouts, and they're quite lovely. And this does include all of the cutting measurements and tells you exactly how to put those together. We have some extra bits in this kit. You've got some photo place card holders, and you can see these are I love these. These have been a favorite of mine for a long time. They are paperboard shapes. You can color these or use them as is. And we've got some florals, leaf sprigs, all sorts of goodies there. Then we have a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. I love that one there. Some title options and just some fun little embellishing add-ons and journaling spots. And then you have the beautiful paper. These are all double-sided, so I'm going to show you both the front and back. So we have some florals and kind of a little wavy stripe. We have a checked paper and then just a distressed with kind of a neutral little background there. And then more, I just love the distressing in that one. And then this beautiful kind of watercolor background look. And then you also get some bonus papers. So these are not double-sided. You've just got white on the background, and these were designed exclusively for the workshop. And then these are another set of single-sided pattern papers. Love that beautiful leaf pattern. And then you get some punch outs. So we've got a great title, some different shapes, some florals and whatnot. This is for one of the, it tells you the project it goes with. So one of those pre-designed layouts. And then you get cardstock, lots of cardstock in coordinating colors. I am going to create my own layout design today. I've got several photos. We were having coffee on the beach, watching the waves come in, and the dogs were having a fun time there. It's my husband. What a place to have coffee, right? I'll tell you more about where we were as we put this layout together. But if you look at this paper, I could not help but see ocean. We've got the sand and the water, and I think that this is going to be beautiful. When I saw it, it just really inspired this idea. So let me go ahead and bring in my Versamats. And as I said in the beginning, this is such a pretty pattern paper, I don't want to cover it all up. So we could have them oriented the same way, but if you rotate one of these, it creates this diagonal flow, kind of leading your eye across. And what I'm thinking for my photos is kind of like a little center collage, if you will. I've got some 3x4s and some 4x6s, and both horizontal and this one's landscape. I would like to blow that up a little bit more, but the lighting was so bad, it's kind of blurry and grainy, so I couldn't make it much bigger than a 3x4. My thought was to cluster them in the center, maybe slightly overlapping just a bit. You can see we have that kind of represented on the other side. Now, I do want to bring in a pop of this pretty peacock. So I'm thinking of just a little thin border. We could mat all of the photos, but then again, we're covering up that pretty paper, and I really want that paper to be a focal of this design. So let's just narrow this down. We're going to cut a mat for our 2 larger photos here. So we've got this one, which just happens to be on the furthest right, and this one is on the furthest left. So I like how that kind of draws your eye across with that pretty peacock. Now we've got the sticker sheet. So this title is actually quite perfect, You and Me. It's my husband and I, but I don't like it with the layout. I'm drawn to this one, Enjoying the Moment, which is also quite perfect. So I'm thinking maybe of using this for my title element right over here. I don't want to commit to sticking this down, so I'm patting it on my arm to reduce the tackiness so that I can make that a repositionable sticker. I thought it would be pretty to add some of these little paperboard shapes coming out from our embellishment cluster. So we'll add these. And then I brought in my Seaside Wishes stamp set. This is so pretty. This is a hybrid set. So you have stamps, dies, and an embossing folder. So these are all left over from other projects. You can see this one's stamped here, stamped and embossed. And then I have some that are just embossed. So you get the texture, but not quite as detailed. So let's see, this one is stamped and embossed. Let's go ahead and make some more embellishments. I want all of my sand dollars to be the same, and I want that stamping and embossing, so we'll make more. And then I also have Ocean Friends. This is a new stamp set, and there's this cute little crabby guy. Of course, you see crabs on the beach, so I thought this would be good for the layout. And these are layering stamps. So you've got the outline detail and then the base. I'm going to start with the base. Let me pick that up with my Misty Door. And I chose colors to match. So I've got Crumb Cake and Pecan Pie. So we'll just use a little bit of white paper. I'm going to start with Crumb Cake for my base. Let's ink up our little crab here and then stamp that down. And now what I can do is flip this over. I'm going to leave that stamp up there in case I want to make more. Now I'm going to line up my top layer here with the detailing. Just line that up. That looks good. And then pick that one up with the Misty Door. Make sure it's back in the corner. It kind of stuck. And now we're switching to Pecan Pie, which is darker. So it'll be a nice little detail layer over that crumb cake background. So now we know it's going to be perfect alignment because it stays put in the Misty. And there you go. Cute little crabby guy. I do have some dies for this as well. So I will go ahead and get that die cut out with the coordinating shape there. Sometimes you don't know what you want to embellish with just looking at a stamp set. So I highly recommend just stamping out some images in various colors that coordinate with your project. So I've got the larger sea star here, and I grabbed the Pretty Peacock ink, gorgeous color. And this is the color that's in the background of that beautiful watercolor paper, as well as what I chose for the photo mats. So I will do more of those off camera, and those also have a coordinating die. And then the dies from Seaside Wishes, you can cut out these beautiful little, I don't know what you'd call them, some type of underwater creature. That's what these two here. They're really pretty and add a nice little textural detail. You can see I have placed those sand dollars in a visual triangle, and that is where I want to build up those embellishment clusters. I'm not going to overthink this. I am literally just going to toss those little guys down. I can come back and fine tune them. I like to repeat colors and elements, but don't necessarily want them matchy-matchy. Now this is a fun new item. It's called Meant to Be. So there's a stamp set and the coordinating dies, and the hexagon dies were my favorites. Kind of, oh, I've got to have these. I know I will be able to use those in so many different ways. If you look at the artwork they created in the catalog, there's some ideas on how to use them, but you can see you get the solid and the frame. This R Hive title is so cute too. Whoops. Where did that go? So anyway, you can buy them separate or get the bundle at a 10% discount. I am going to create some background interest and layers. So this is one of the wood grain papers from Country Woods, and I selected this one because you can see that same wild wheat kind of creamy brown tone in there that complements my background paper. We are going to cut a hexagon there, and then you pop out the frame portion. So you've got both of these, and you can use either or. I love these, but here's what we're going to do. We are going to create some layers and background interest without covering up all of that beautiful pattern paper. I want these somewhat connected to my embellishment clusters to start. So it's kind of grounding everything and tying it all together. So maybe we'll tuck this little guy here. And now for this one, we're going to take the rest of those hexagons and we're going to continue making more and more frames. So if we nest these in on each other all the way down, we're going to end up with a whole bunch of frames that we can use to create the rest of our layers. So I've got those nested in. We're going to secure them into place with some washi tape. You just want to use a low tack tape, and I'll run those through my die cutting machine. Now from one small corner of that wood grain paper, we have all of these hexagons. So some of those are not the actual frame, they're just the in-between piece. So I'm pulling out the frames because they're going to be uniform and have all of the same thickness here. So sometimes you just need to use your paper piercer to poke those out of there. And we even have this pretty little hexagon center that we can use on another project. So now we have several sizes. I'm going to start with the largest first because it's easiest to start with the bigger shapes and then work your way down to the smallest shapes. Again, we'll bring our embellishments back into that hexagon frame. And then let's possibly put one down over here. And you could theoretically cut off the portion if you wanted to cut these in half, but you can see I'm kind of overlapping my photo. So I do need that whole shape intact. And then let me move the crab down here. Let's put another hexagon maybe up here. So again, I like odd numbers, groupings of 3, 5, or 7. So I think I'm going to use maybe 3 on each layout. I might have to cut one more frame to get my third shape for this side. So we'll start with that for now. Now I also have this stamp, Elements of Text. And this is another great way to bring in layers and add to the layout without covering up that beautiful pattern paper. So I'm thinking maybe right about here. And again, I'm connecting them to my hexagons and I want it kind of coming out from underneath my photo. I chose Peacock ink because I am stamping on an area of paper where the background is that peacock. So I'm just kind of holding it where I want it, bump everything out of the way, doing my best to get that straight without getting in your way. And a little crooked, that's okay. I think when we get everything on there, nobody will really notice that. It's straight enough, right? Bring these back in. And of course, again, I'll fine tune those when I go to adhere them down. But I'm thinking we want to repeat that text over here. What we do to one side, it's always good to add that to the other side. So again, just holding up where I want it, scoot those elements out of the way. This is why I dry fit everything. It's much easier to move them than try to mask them off and then stamp over uneven layers. Last September, my husband and I had taken the motorhome and we were kind of just winding our way up the California coastline on our way to Oregon to watch my son's mountain bike race. And we were just taking our time and checking stuff out along the way. We had visited Fort Bragg and then we stayed at the Westport RV Park, which is where we are in these photos. And it was really beautiful. It was foggy and cold, but still pretty. And I just realized I never did stamp out my little sand dollar. I've got a naked sand dollar down there and I want one with a stamping background. So I am going to line these up. I'm going to put my coordinating die down. Now the die cuts out 3, but you actually only have 2 of the sand dollars. So I'm using these to place them. There is kind of an obvious pattern to that sand dollar, so they're pretty easy to line up. So we're going to line that one there, and then we're going to line this one here. And then, yep, just scoot. Okay, that looks good. Pick it up with the Misty Door. And now we can move the die. That was just a placement guide. And I'm thinking to stamp these in Pecan Pie. So we'll ink these up because that's what the others are stamped in. For those of you who have lots of close to my heart cardstock in your stash, this is Shortbread. Shortbread actually blends with this collection so well, it's like it was made for it. So Shortbread cardstock, Shortbread ink, definitely a good match. If you don't have those, I would suggest Very Vanilla. That's a coordinating color in this paper pack. So I'm trying to line these up and it's kind of hitting, it's bumping right there. So I'm going to cut off a snippet, make that shorter so we can line this up. And I'm just trying to die cut and emboss all at once. So I'm making this much harder than it needs to be. But we're just about there and got it. Perfect. Close that up and I'll run that through my embossing folder or machine. So that's what it does. You get that gorgeous texture, die cut, everything all at once. And we will swap that out with the version that was not stamped. Now we have an extra, might as well add him to the layout too. So those are pretty. And then let's add a few more sprigs just to kind of add those layers. So yes, we are covering up some of the background. Obviously we have to do that. But by using those open frames, I think it really lets a lot of that beautiful background paper show through, but still gives us that nice layered look that I like to add to my scrapbook layouts. So I printed my journaling out on vellum, and I chose vellum again to let the background paper show through. It doesn't quite fit there. We could put it here, but maybe here. I like it there, but I don't like how it's taller than the photo on the left. So I pulled this from my sticker sheet, little file tab here, and it says loving this. Move the dog hair. And if we nestle that under, that gives us that height. So now it is taller than my text, and I like that better. I've grabbed a few word stickers from the sticker sheet. They say happiness, pure sweetness, and a special day. So I'm adding these just to add some detail. I love word sentiment strips. And maybe this one here, overlapping the photo. I went ahead and cut one more frame, and that way we can complete that third hexagon on this side of the page. So let me just sneak that under there. I've already got things. I like to just put adhesive in the center, and then it gives me flexibility to move it around, and then I can reinforce it with glue later. These are the neutral adhesive back sequins. I did add several of those to each of my embellishment clusters. You can see those kind of tucked in and around all of those beautiful little sand dollars. And I love the title. There's little Luna. She's so happy. The dogs get the zoomies on the beach. They just love it. For more creative ways to use hexagons on your scrapbook layouts, watch these videos right here. Everything I used can be found in the description box below. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon here on YouTube.